So I ask you, what could be more fun than bringing memes to life? And of course the answer is absolutely nothing, Bob, except perhaps bringing other stuff to life. And that is the fascination and beauty of today's AI video technology. Welcome back to the channel where we discuss the creative uses of AI. And before we dig in real quick, I get questions in the comments about where did you cover this or that subject in a particular video? And it's kind of hard to answer that question sometimes, and YouTube search doesn't always do the best job. But you know what does is our chatbot that we have over here on BobDoyleMedia.com. It's free for you to use, but over here in the lower right-hand corner, you can ask this chatbot about anything I've ever covered on the channel, and it's been trained on all the data. For example, where can I get a demo of Suno? You're in for a treat if you're looking for a demo of Suno, and then it has links to all the videos that I talk about Suno. So if that kind of thing would be helpful for you, that's there for you free of charge. The other day, I briefly introduced you to Vidu. Vidu is a new AI video generation system that has popped onto the scene and is absolutely amazing. And the more I play with it, the more I love it. And I really believe that this is the one to watch. Because besides the obvious comments that people will make about the resolution, that's a temporary thing. What we're looking at is its ability to take a concept or a picture and animate it in an engaging way. And I think this does some of the best job of any of the generators out there. So today I want to show you a few more examples of this and then get into demonstrating how it all works. If you are new to Vidu, here's how you get started. Just go to the site. I've linked it in the description. Click on Try Vidu and sign in whichever way you'd like. I choose Google. And then once you've created an account, you'll notice that you have 80 credits to play with. So we go into create video, and then it's just like the others where you can type in a text prompt or use an image as your starting point for the prompt and either use the image alone or combine it with a text prompt. So let's bring a meme image to life to demonstrate how this works. So we're going to click on create video. In this case, we're going to drag and drop this meme here. We're all familiar with this dude. You have choices to use as a first frame or use for character reference. If you use it as a first frame, it is as you expect. It will take that image and use it as the first frame of a video that will animate based on what it thinks it should be or how you guide it along with the text prompt. If you click on use for character reference, it will take this kid and now you can put this kid in other situations and have him doing something else. I'm going to demonstrate both. So first, let's do use as the first frame, and now I won't put any prompt at all and we'll just see what it comes up with. Now, the great thing about Vidu is it only takes about 45 seconds to get a generation. This is a huge speed increase over virtually every other platform out there. The cost, of course, is the resolution. So I have experimented with using some video upscalers with the output of Vidu, and nothing's really blowing me away, but admittedly I have not yet tried Topaz, and I think that's the one we're still comparing everything to when it comes to video upscales that are commercially available. So we've got our animation and we click on play, and look at this, he's got a rock in his hand. We didn't even tell him to do that. So let's look at that again. Let's go full screen. Keep in mind that the original image that made up this thing was also low res. But look at that. That is some amazing animation. We've got the waves in the background. It just made the stuff up about he holds the rock up, and it's good animation. Let's click on re-edit, and this time let's give it a text prompt and just see what happens, see if it makes any difference. So a whale washes up on shore behind a boy on the beach. I do have the enhance prompt option chosen, automatically expand short prompts, which I would definitely say this is, and I'll click on create. Let's check out what it did. All right, we've got a zoom out and we've got a whale washing up on the beach. Again, I know the resolution is not great, but what about when it is? Let's click re-edit one more time, and now this time let's use for a character reference. So now we don't have to put him on the beach, he can be anywhere doing anything. So to come up with a situation for this kid, let's use our friend the Glyph tool, which I introduced you to the other day, which actually creates prompts for the Flux AI image creator, which is amazing, but the prompts are so descriptive, I found that they're great for these types of video generators. So I'm going to say, boy riding a tricycle. We'll keep the style hyper real. We'll run this glyph so we can get a nice little prompt. All right, we're going to copy this prompt. We're going to paste it in this area here. Make sure use for character reference is checked. I'm going to unclick enhance prompt because, again, I already consider these glyph prompts to be enhanced, and click create. Okay, this is what we got. Kind of hard to tell whether it's that kid or not. Maybe the prompt was a little too descriptive. So let's just change it to riding a tricycle on the street, and we'll leave it at that. Man, I don't know. It doesn't look like the kid necessarily, but it's hard to tell because he's wearing sunglasses. But again, the animation, look, he's riding that thing, he's pedaling and everything. You maybe not see the pedals that well, but this is some pretty great animation. But I do wish that it worked a little bit better in terms of being obvious that it was the character. I will say that when I used this technique with this character, this was the still image, and I used this as the character reference, and I got this video. It put that character in where I said driving a cart through the city. So the technique does work, but we just had a glitch with that particular example. Now, of course, in addition to memes, it does a great job animating other images as well. So here's a starting point image that was created with Flux. On the Flux generation page, which I left a link to in the description, I actually used this button right here. Just click this and got that image, and I used it as the starting point animation, and I got this. And in this case, I actually did supplement this with a text prompt. What I did was I took this simple prompt here, ran it through Glyph, and got a more complicated prompt, which this is the one that I pasted into Vidu to complement this, and it generated this animation. This is the same image, but no text prompt was used. So it gave me about 2 frames of the original image and then switched to something else. So for that reason, I like the other one better, but I also didn't rerun this and give it a chance to do something else, which you generally want to do with AI stuff anyway. Here's another couple of examples showing the difference between using a text prompt with an image and not using one. This, of course, was the first frame of the original image, and without a text prompt, it came up with this, which I love the smoke. The billowing of it is great. It looks totally natural. But then I ran it again and gave it a more complicated text prompt and got this. So now we've got some weird jittery camera movement, but the animation's more interesting. So it kind of looks more like a stop frame animation or something, but he's doing all of this stuff that's way more interesting. Just try it both ways and see which one you like for your purposes. Now here's an example of a text-only prompt that was very simple. 3 babies, didn't get 3, but 3 babies skydiving with huge smiles on their faces. Wanted the AI to know that everything's A-okay with the skydiving babies. So he doesn't have one, but he must be Velcroed to his friend. Of course, you can use this technique with any image you find out there on the internet. So if you do a search for a meme, for example, you can see where I found some of the ones I chose. But let's say I wanted to animate this one. I can just save this image to my local hard drive, load it in, and this time we'll try with and without enhanced prompt. And we'll create. Without subscribing, you can only do 1 generation at a time, and everything I'm showing you now is free over on Vidu. Now keep in mind that those 80 credits are for the entire month, and I'm burning through probably all of them today. Let's look. No prompting, and that's great. We got to zoom out, he's relaxed, there's no tearing, the water's moving, it looks completely professional. And by the way, we did try the upscale on the earlier video, and we'll do it for you now. But to me, the results are not so great that I want to spend 4 credits on it, and I'd rather try to maybe use some other upscalers besides the one they've got built in here. Hopefully it will improve. They do have a creative option that's coming, but not yet even available for the paid plan. Here's the upscaled version. To me, it kind of looks like some of the more basic upscale technology. It's not the worst, but it's not the best either. But again, and I know I keep stressing this, my focus is on the quality of the animation, the movement that's taking place, way more than the quality of the render, because that will, of course, improve. Okay, let's do another re-edit, but this time we will not enhance the prompt and see what we get. And during this quick 45-second break, I want to call your attention to this guide link here, because there is actually a lot of documentation that goes along with this. You don't have to guess your way through it at all. So it's going to help you to build better prompts and understand things, so it's not so much trial and error. Actually have prompt keywords for film style like general, sci-fi, western, romance, crime, visual artistic style, shooting and actions including things like time-lapse and underwater photography and overhead and handheld, great stuff, text effects. Look at some of that stuff. Like, why don't we try claymation style on our next generation? Let's go back and see what we did here with the non-prompt enhanced version of this image to video. Yeah, not as good. There's no panning of the camera, and there's definitely the tearing and morphing that we're used to with some of the other services, even though what it's trying to do I still think is a little bit more advanced than what we see, because I'm really tired of the slow pans around things, you know, calling that animation with maybe something going on in the background, people looking off in the distance and the cameras like this. Okay, I'm over that. I want to see some movement, and at least Vidu is giving it the old college try and mostly succeeding. So I think enhanced prompt helped that one for sure. Let's just start from scratch here. Claymation, baby bird, learning to fly. And I will definitely enhance that. and click create and just see what happens. See if just using the word claymation is enough to create what we want. And the answer is yes, that's all it took, just the word claymation, and we've got a baby bird in a nest learning to fly. I love that. Let's look at another style, ice sculpture. How about we'll combine time lapse and ice sculpture. Time lapse of ice sculpture of an elephant melting in the sun at the beach. All right, we'll leave enhanced prompt on and we'll see if we get both time lapse and ice sculpture. And I love that we only have to wait 45 seconds. Okay, so we definitely have an ice sculpture of an elephant melting in the sun, but I don't know if I could call that time lapse because the waves look normal. Just real quick, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel and this is the type of stuff you're interested in, why not click that subscribe and notify button? This is the kind of stuff we talk about all the time, and we have a great deal of fun doing it. And if you want to dig deeper into any of these topics, check out our AI Lab Essentials membership. Low cost, but it gives you access to a lot of in-depth information that it isn't practical to share here on these quicker paced YouTube videos, which we're going to get back to right now. Let's just do time lapse of house being built in the mountains. Okay, so we've got the time lapse of a roof of a house being built, sort of, although it really more looks like it's just sort of, electronically. Still a very interesting shot. Let's try taking this prompt over to Glyph, see what it gives us. A new version of Glyph is available. Let's use the new version. Let's paste this in here. Time lapse of a luxurious mountain chalet, hyper-realistic rendering, captures every detail. It just feels like this is going to be better, but let's find out. Okay, see, that feels more like time lapse, even though we don't see a lot of stuff being built on the house, but we've got the whole time lapse effect. This is like the time lapse of people like on their day off looking like, yeah, Monday through Friday I work here, but I'm not really working today. Let me show you all around from the outside. But that is definitely got the time lapse in here. I'm sure we could keep hacking away at it. Let's click on this settings tab and see what we've got in here. We've got our general style and we've got our animation style. You also have a duration choice between 4 seconds and 8 seconds, but the 8 seconds is only available with the paid plan. We're not doing that right now. And by the way, these only work with text prompts, not image prompts. So let's create a fun text prompt like a flower blows in a gentle breeze poking through the snow. I like that imagery. By a gently rushing creek. Who knows? All right, a flower blows in a gentle breeze poking through the snow. I'm going to move this here. A flower poking through the snow blows in a gentle breeze beside a gently rushing creek. Enhance prompt, and we're going to click the general model here and create. Okay, here's the general model. Now, we didn't zoom in on the flower very much. We got very little of the flower, but a lot of the creek. It looks good, but I kind of wanted a little bit more of the flower, I guess. Let's just try the animation model. Let's click re-edit, make sure everything's there. Click on the animation model and create that and see what we get. Okay, so we've got a more stylized thing. It is more of an illustration, kind of hard to tell because of the resolution, but definitely a different look. I wouldn't say it was photorealistic. I'd say it's somewhere in the middle and more illustrative style. Personally, I like things more realistic than animated, so I generally will stick with this model. Now, one of the features that Vidu does not currently offer, which is very popular with the other ones, is the extend feature. So we have this 4-second video, but we can't make it go further than that built in. But we can use the technique that people have been using for a while, and that is to just simply download this video and then just drop that into an editor. In this case, I'm using Filmora. I'm going to go to the last frame of the video and I'm going to use the snapshot feature to grab that frame. I'm just going to save it as a PNG file. And then back in Vidu, I can use that frame as the first frame for another animation. So I'll just drag that last frame capture up in here. I will just use this as the first frame of the video and click on create. So now we have an animation that takes up where the other one left off, but it kind of goes a little nuts here. But let's go ahead and download it. And then we can just bring that into the editor and put it right next to that. And then in theory, we have a seamless animation. The only problem is that second animation was a little bit jerky. Let's go back and see if we can get another version of that because I don't like that. I'm going to turn off enhanced prompt and maybe it'll keep things a little bit more still. Actually, I need to hit re-edit, use the first frame, turn off enhanced prompt, and go again. Okay, that looks a little bit better, but we're getting the same problem with the non-enhanced version that we did before, which was it looked kind of like everybody else's animation in terms of sort of the blurring and the tearing. This kind of looks a little bit morphy. But I'm going to say that despite that, again, what it's doing with the animation itself, I feel is just way more interesting than the majority of some of these other services, even the big ones. So I think I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to click Enhance Prompt again, but I'm going to just help it with a text prompt. Bird, let's see, jumps to edge of nest and finally flies away. I don't know that he's going to do that, but let's click Create. Okay, well, that's interesting. The nest kind of fell. Let's download this one and put it next to the first clip and see if it flows a little bit better. Just drag that in here, drop it on the timeline, get rid of this one, put this one up there, and see if it flows a little bit better. Okay, yeah, it's just, yes, that's much, much better. Now, I don't know what we do over here. When we get over here, that's when we roll the credits. So since we're in an editor right now, here's where we could add sound effects. We could just go to Audio, go to Sound Effect, and let's just say outdoors. Need my headphones on. Add it to the timeline. Just trim it there at the end because I certainly don't need all that. We could add music, like I'm just going to put nature. Perfect. Download that, add it to the timeline, trim it just like the other one. The birds are too loud. So then we might throw a little sound effect of like, I don't know, go back to sound effect. Wood cracking. That's too much wood cracking. Wood crack. Let's download that one and just see. Yeah, that actually worked. It's a little loud, I guess. So much you could do here. You could have little, like when he falls, you can just go to Media and click on Record and click Record Voiceover. Make sure my microphone is all good. I actually want to save this to my project file and record. It's going to give me a little countdown. Here we go. Okay, so we can actually do the voice along with the video, but I want to change the pitch on that because I want it to be a little bird freaking out, not me going. So let's see what we got here in terms of, we got the audio, we can change the speed, we can change the pitch here, which is what we want to do. There, it's perfect. It's the perfect film. So he needs some mumbling here at the beginning too. So let me record a little bit of that. There, and we'll go back over here. We'll raise the pitch on that one too. Put it up here. Bring down the volume, and let's check it out. I think he needs to react more when the branch goes. So let's just fine tune that. Right there is when he needs to make that little, I need to turn off the snapping. So I can line that right up. Maybe a little bit, a microsecond after he falls. And this needs to, the break needs to be louder. I want to show you a few more examples that really impress me with their animation skills. So here was the still image that I created in Flux, just some crazy sandwich, but I made sure to include a pitcher pouring chocolate sauce visibly to see what the AI would do with that. In this case, I did elaborate the prompt and added a troll in here somewhere. It says a grotesque troll waiter serves the dish. So here's what we got with the animation. Okay, so we definitely have the sauce pouring and it's dripping down reasonably realistically. And of course we have the troll waiter popping in at the end. So that's a great example of a combination of the still image with a prompt, and it adhered to both of them pretty well. Okay, here's this still image, a little girl with a scowl on her face as she looks at some sort of metallic centipede on her birthday cake. I didn't put any prompt with this, and here's the result. She just sort of looks away. There's minimal movement with this. I don't really, it actually looks like the centipede is on her chest plate there rather than on the cake when the animation kicks in. But it is an interesting look on her face, how the eyes kind of do 2 takes down, you know, it's like, oh, that. And just, again, realistic, subtle movements in the hand here that I think are also very realistic. Okay, here's another take on the bug on the cake. Here's another take on a bug on a cake. This girl is none too happy that there's a scorpion up there. At least she's none too happy at the moment, but She actually looks a little bit delighted. Now, this is a really interesting result here because all of a sudden it's like this overlay of a bug just appears there. She actually looks delighted. Her head goes a little bit nuts there at the end. It kind of explodes into I don't know what there. But still interesting. And they've got also the stars are fading in and out like sparkly stars. It's an interesting animation to say the least. Okay, another Flux generated image. I love the images that Flux comes up with of this kid looking at a fly around his birthday cake. So look at these animations. We've got the flame going. It's actually a bee flying around rather than a fly. But he looks annoyed and the background is good. The pictures on the wall stay consistent. The cake stays consistent. And it's just great character animation. We got a similar result here with this one. Same exact prompt, obviously in Flux, gave us a different starting image. But then this animation with the fly buzzing around his face and he's sort of a little confused and looking around. Very Pixar-like, dare I say. I really like the whole thing. The resolution could be better, but we have discussed this already. I tried the same thing with the cartoon style. It did okay. A little bit more tearing and morphing around the mouth. Now here's one that did not start with a starting image. This was pure text prompt. A terrified man, wide-eyed and disheveled, trapped in an iridescent, intricately woven spider web, etc. And we got this. And look, I don't like spiders either. I don't know why I do this to myself. It's some sort of inner therapy. I know other people do normal videos, but that's why my channel's here. This one was driven by a still image that was generated in Flux. I meant for the man to be in the spider web and it turned the man into the spider. So a very odd effect, but we got some interesting wind effects on the web here. On this one, to hopefully give it a little bit more movement, I added the text prompt man spider crawling up a web and got this. So it's not really crawling up the web, but the camera goes around and gets this whole different viewpoint, which is exceptional because the camera is tracking, I think, appropriately and correctly and gives us a really interesting view of this horrifying creature. Before I decided to go with the animated style, I went with the ultra-realistic style and got this nightmare fuel. I don't know what happens to his head there. I think he just covers it up with his hand real quick, but then we have to fill in the blanks. The text prompt on Flux was a monkey shoots his first bow and arrow. So this was the still image. And this is him, I guess, second guessing shooting his first bow and arrow. He's checking it out and going, it's like that excuse, like, oh, I got the shot. Oh, wait, I think there's something wrong with my bow. And everybody's going, come on, Clyde, take the shot. Stop making excuses. And he's like, no, really, look, the arrow just goes right through the bow. Do you see that? It's like a magic trick. And they're going, it happens to all of us, Clyde. Meanwhile, the monkey's going, my name isn't even Clyde. All right, here's the starting image, again, created in Flux. I freaking love it. And it gave us this. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And I get excited about this because I've tried similar pictures to this in these other things, and I'm telling you, I don't get anything like this. I might get a little bit of a head shake or a paw, but mostly it's that slow pan or the zoom, and he looks slowly around. This is what I'm looking for. Aren't you? I hope you understand why I'm so excited about Vidu, despite the fact that you can't extend the clips natively built in and that the resolution leaves something to be desired. We all should know by now that it's only going to get better. It's not uncommon for these animation services to throw out a lower resolution option to test the waters, and once they gauge the interest and everybody's foaming at the mouth to get this stuff, then they will introduce the HD versions. And I'm quite sure something like that is going to happen with Vidu, and the quality is going to only get better. I hope you go and have a ton of fun with these tools. If this is the type of information you like learning about, well, why not subscribe to this channel? Because this is the kind of thing we talk about all the time.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you. And I